Hi all. Welcome back to my channel. This is Reads with Lauren. I am Lauren and it's great to spend some time with you this morning. This video is my February TBR, so all of the books that I'm hoping to read in February. I've got quite a big pile. There is, including the Kindle and the audiobooks, about 22 books on this list and I am hoping to get through them all. I did manage 34 books last month, which was insane. So I think that these will be achievable. So in February, I'm hoping to start a new challenge for myself. I have a load of books behind me, a lot of which I haven't read. So what I did last month was I picked up a couple of books out of my TBR jar and I read a couple of chapters in the hopes that, I would decide if I wanted to chuck a couple of them. I ended up wanting to read all three of them. I've since finished two, but I have a third one, and that is I Heard That Song Before by Mary Higgins Clark. I've only read one chapter so far, but it seemed really, really intriguing. Mary unfortunately passed away back in 2020, but she was a thriller and suspense author and she wrote quite a lot of books. I've never delved into her works before, but earlier last year I ended up purchasing off Facebook Marketplace a big box of books for super cheap, and one of those was this book. I also have a few other Mary Higgins Clark books in there, so I thought, good opportunity to give it a go. So yeah, there was enough in the first couple of chapters to get me excited enough to keep reading it. So I'm hoping to finish this one this month. But since I had so much success with that, I'm hoping to actually do a couple of those this month where I pick some books out of the TBR jar and I give them a red hot go for a video. So that will be a couple of extra books for this month and hopefully there'll be some decent reads in there, but that's a future reading vlog that I'll be doing. So really excited to start that and actually make my way through these books because it's starting to get a little bit insane. But yes, so I Heard That Song Before by Mary Higgins Clark. I'm hoping to finish this at the start of this month so that I can decide if it's one I'm going to keep on my shelves or I'm going to get rid of. So another book that I started in January that I'm hoping to finish within the first couple of days of this month is Dracula by Bram Stoker. I started this one in my 24-hour reading vlog and I've been listening to it in audio, but I've also read a little bit of the actual hard copy. I am about 422 pages in, so I don't have that much left to go. So I should be able to get this one finished in the next couple of days. I thought I'd read this before, but I think that I only started it and didn't finish it, and that was about 12 years ago. I don't remember the rest of it. However, because it's Dracula, I was aware of the themes and the people involved in the story, so I thought that I had read it all. But now that I'm reading it, I have discovered that, yeah, this is not a reread. This is a proper first read. It's been a good read so far and I'm looking forward to finishing it, and yeah, it shouldn't take me too long. Another one that I started, and I actually started it the start of January. However, it's a short story collection. I read a couple during the 24-hour reading vlog, but it's quite chunky. So as you can see, I'm working my way through it. However, it's probably going to take me a little while, so I'm hoping to at least get a few more stories done this month, if not finish it. So far it hasn't been too bad. Some of the stories are first release, they haven't been published before and they're actually really good. And there's also chapters of classic sci-fi time travel sort of stories, which is really good for me because I've been looking at venturing into that, but I wasn't really sure where to start. And this is a good way to sort of get a feel of the stories and see if it's something that I would like to venture into. But I'm really, really intrigued to give H.G. Wells a go, and there's a couple of chapters of The Time Machine and The Sleeper Awakes in here, so hopefully I can get onto those this month and make a decision as to whether H.G. Wells is someone that I'd like to read more of. Yeah, but that's time travel short stories. Hopefully I will be able to finish that this month, if not at least a decent chunk. Another quick little mention of books that I'm partway through at the moment. I'm reading this with my 10-year-old and I count this in my amount of books of the year. So that is Diary of a Wimpy Kid Double Down by Jeff Kinney. We like to read together each night. We read a chapter or so, or in this case, a diary entry or so. So this will probably be something that we'll get through slowly. I don't know if we'll finish it this month, but it is technically one of the books I'm currently reading, so I thought I'd better include it. Now onto audios. I have been utilizing my Audible, but also the 15 hours of my Spotify audio listening that I get with my account. So last month I started Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. That is it's book 2 in the Brightfall series. So it's the second book after Delilah Green Doesn't Care. This one centers on Delilah's sister Astrid, who in the first book was quite overbearing and difficult. The second book opens up with a run-in at a coffee shop, and she literally runs into this woman, Jordan, who proceeds to spill her coffee all over her, and they have an altercation. After this altercation at the coffee shop, Astrid then proceeds to head to this new project that she's working on. She is currently an interior designer, and she has been tasked with the job of revamping this family within the town. So the process is actually also being broadcasted on a home improvement show. She then proceeds to find out that the carpenter and one of the family members who own the inn is this Jordan that she's had an altercation with at the coffee shop. Jordan is a carpenter. She's working on the revamp as well. However, she wants to preserve the history of the inn, whereas Astrid is looking at giving it a more modern revamp. So obviously you can imagine enemies to lovers. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of banter. I'm only about 20% through. I ran out of hours, so I wasn't able to finish it because I had used about 11 of my 15 hours on an Alexis Hall book, which I will talk about in my January wrap up. Really enjoyed it though. So I kind of felt like getting into another romance book and just, having something to listen to that's just fun and not too brain draining or not too much trauma or issues, because I seem to be picking up a lot of those at the moment. So this is a nice change of pace. So far, I like the connection between the two characters. Delilah Green, I really did enjoy that, but I found that the connection was kind of fast, and I don't know, it was a good sapphic romance, but it wasn't my favorite, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm intrigued to see how Astrid Parker goes. If the banter's as good and the connection is as good, I will give the third one a go, even if, it's not one of my favorite series. I love a sapphic romance. So the other book on Spotify that I'm hoping to read, the book you want everyone you love to read and maybe a few you don't, by Philippa Perry. I haven't read any Philippa Perry before. However, she is a Sunday Times bestselling author, and she's also a psychotherapist. So the book approaches some of life's big problems, and it's sort of a guide to help you with the most important relationships in your life. I am always trying to add some more self-help into my space. I do have a couple of non-fiction this month, and I'm really hoping that I can get into all of them. But yeah, once I'm finished Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, that's the one I want to jump into next. So my physical TBR, so the books that I'd like to read this month, some of them I have sort of spoken about in my 24 books for 2024 video, but there's a couple that I obviously wanted to really prioritize, and the first one is Girl Crush by Florence Given. This is a modernized feminist retelling of Jekyll and Hyde, which sounds great to me. I love that story. So Florence books have been drawing my eye. Like, I love the covers of all her books. I wouldn't mind checking out Women Don't Owe You Pretty, but I thought that I'll give this one a go first and see how it goes, see if her writing style works for me. So yeah, so that's Girl Crush. The next on the list is The Heart is a Star by Megan Roberts. So this book is about Layla, who is exhausted with her life. So she works as an anesthetist. I can't tell you how many times I've said that now. I'm rolling with that. Her marriage is falling apart, her kids are overwhelming her, and she also has a very unstable mother who is regularly contacting her with threats of ending her life. She ends up receiving this call just before Christmas from her mother to let her know that she is finally ready to tell her the story of what happened with her father. This must be something that's quite a big deal, because Layla then drops everything and goes to Tasmania. So I think this will delve a lot into families and drama and trauma, and working through that and discovering things about her family that she hadn't already known. And that's something that really fascinates me. I love reading about that. So that's why this one is high priority on my list. The next one is one that I'm hoping to read purely because I've read the first two in the series, and this is a trilogy. This one only has a 2.46 rating on Goodreads, so I'm assuming that it might be one that I will eventually DNF. However, I enjoyed the first two. They weren't too bad, and I thought, I've got it on my bookshelf, I might as well give it a go, and that is I Take You by Nikki Jamel. It should be a quick read. I'll DNF it if I'm not really vibing with it, but the first two I managed to get through pretty quickly, so we'll see. The reason he wasn't mentioned in my 24 books of 2024 was because these books are part of a series that I have already started. I am hoping to do a video very soon about all of the series that I've started and hoping to finish, because there's quite a few. But this month I really want to get into Oathbringer, so this is just part one. It's pretty decent size, and there is a part two which I also have, and it's that size again. I don't know if I'll get through both of them, but you never know. With Brandon Sanderson, I can jump in and just be hooked and read the whole thing in a couple of days, or it can take me a little while because I might not be in the mood for the world building and the character development. However, this being book 3, I think that it should be one that I should be able to jump in quite quickly. So far, the first two books really focused on 2 of the main characters, and this one is focusing on Dalinar. So Dalinar is the king's uncle, and within the first 2 books, during the high storms, Dalinar was experiencing these dreamlike states, where during these dreamlike states, he was going back in time and experiencing what occurred for the Knights Radiant, who are now non-existent, although potentially coming back or being replaced by new people. I'm trying not to give too much away. The first book centered on Kaladin Stormblessed, who was a soldier turned slave, and the second book was focused more on Shallan, who is a scholar. Though we delved into a lot of the storyline in book 1 for her, book 2 sort of went back into her history and you got to learn a lot more about her. So this one being about Dalinar means that hopefully we'll get a lot of background, because there's been a lot of mention of Dalinar's past without any sort of background knowledge, so it's going to be really interesting to learn more about his past. So I'm so very excited to get onto this one. It'd be great if I could finish the whole series before the 5th book comes out, but I'll go more into that in the book series video coming relatively soon. Staying on the Brandon Sanderson train, we have book 2 in the Wax and Wane series. This is phase 2 of the Mistborn series, and this is Shadows of Self. So the first one was great. I really enjoyed it. I can't say it was one of my favorites. However, that is because it's sort of a Western cross steampunk cross like pew pew sheriff sort of theme, which isn't normally my cup of tea, but Brandon Sanderson's banter is always hilarious. The characters are really great, and I am genuinely looking forward to continuing this series. So this one is right up there on the priority list. Moving on to nonfiction, and I discussed these ones in a little bit of detail in my recent haul video, but these are ones that I am hoping to pick up this month, and this is Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. This one breaks down chapter by chapter all the lies that Rachel believed, which led to her becoming quite overwhelmed, stressed out, and really just not enjoying life. So I'm looking forward to delving into this, because I've recently just come out of a really overwhelming stage of my life, and though I read a lot of self-help books, and I'm not sure that there'll be anything in here that I'm not already kind of aware of, this might be a nice reminder for me in regards to some tips and tricks, or hopefully it would be great if there was some new things that I could implement into my day-to-day life. So that is Girl Wash Your Face. The next one I have discussed a couple of times, and that is Gotta Get Through This by Louis Theroux. I really enjoy Louis Theroux's documentaries, and I'm so fascinated to read his memoir. So this should, it looks like this will go into detail about the documentaries that he has recorded, a bit about his family life, but this was also written around the time that it came out that Jimmy Savile, one of the people that he had previously interviewed, had been reported as an SA perpetrator. So I think it will delve into a lot of different topics, which should be really interesting. And when I saw it, I had to pick it up straight away, and I'm so excited to read it. It's definitely got to be started within the next couple of weeks, because I've talked about it enough times already, and we don't need it in my next TBR. So it's going to happen this month. Moving on to Kindle books. I recently started the Into Shadow series, so there's 7, and they're a short story collection on Amazon Originals. So the first three were The Garden by Tomi Adeyemi, I probably butchered that, Persephone by Lev Grossman, and The Six Deaths of the Saint by Alex H. Harrow, which I read, and I will talk about more in the January wrap-up. But I've got What the Dead Know by Nevo, Undercover by Tamsin Muir, The Candles Are Burning by Veronica G. Henry, and Out of the Mirror, Darkness by Garth Nix. So the first two weren't great. I really did enjoy The Six Deaths of the Saint by Alex E. Harrow, so I'm interested to read the rest of the collection. And I mean, they're 30-page each, give or take, so it won't take too long to get onto those ones. Next, I've got the St. Mary's Chronicles, and I've discussed them a lot. I won't go into too much detail about those. However, I'm up to book 10.5, so I'm hoping to read 10.5, 10.6, 11, 11.5, and 12 this month. That sounds like a lot, but the short stories are only about 50 pages each, and I have been absolutely eating up this series, so I'm sure I'll get through them. So that is When Did You Last See Your Father? Why Is Nothing Ever Simple? Plan for the Worst, The Ordeal of the Haunted Room, and Another Time, Another Place. And these are all by Jodie Taylor. If you're intrigued by this series, I highly recommend picking it up. It's a sci-fi time travel series. It's British, it's funny, it is deep, there is some traumatic stuff that occurs, there is always chaos and damage control, and it's such a good series, and they make me laugh, they make me cry, and I just can't recommend them enough. So yes, hoping to finish 2 more of those and 3 more of the short stories collection. There's a few short stories that I haven't read yet and I'm hoping to find, but I think that I'm probably just going to have to go out and find the short story collections in hard copy so that I have them all together. But yes, I love this series, can't say enough about them, but I'm hoping to get through at least 5 more in the series. And that is it. That's 22 books that I'm hoping to read in February. In the comment section, please let me know what you are thinking about reading this month of February. And if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned in this video, please let me know what you thought. I'd love to talk about them a bit more. But that's it for now. Please like and subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye, darlings.